Hey everyone, I am Mike, and today we are joined again by
Wade.
right. And today, what are we going to be talking about, Wade?
Pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling. Oh yeah,
Oh,
baby.
yeah.
Oh yeah. There's nothing that gets me harder than talking about wrestling.
Men in
Two men
spandex.
just slapping their bodies together.
Slapping meat.
I love it mainly because I use that voice a lot, and we did our wrestling promo when you asked me to be your groomsman.
Yeah.
I was like, you sent me that wrestling promo asking me to be your groomsman, and I literally looked at my fiance and I was just like, I'll be right back. I gotta go record something real quick.
It's weird because the rest of my groomsmen. Okay, I guess we're just diving right into how I used to be a basement wrestler.
Right.
Where me and my friends would just get a little drunk in our early 20s and just wrestle in my basement, my mom's
Right.
basement. We had like futon mattresses, and then we just slammed each other.
I gotta ask you, did anyone else send you back a promo?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
all right.
My friend Clint, you know Clint.
Oh, yeah.
Who was he was a knockoff of the Undertaker. He was the beekeeper. Rest in bees.
Jesus. Dude, wrestling. All right, so like, I just recently decided to like make that trip down memory lane because like I remember wrestling being so fun when I was a kid, right? And obviously I didn't get all of like the story elements of it because I was a kid, and a lot of like the stories were like, you slept with my wife and now
We're
I'm
talking about the Attitude Era.
in the Attitude Era, baby.
1997 to 2001.
Yes, like it is wild to think about, like, because I mean, literally, I started from like all right, let's just get it out of the way, right? If we're talking about wrestling for me, the wrestler that defines wrestling for me is Stone Cold Steve Austin, right?
I'd go with that too.
I like, he is just something about him and his whole like everything that he did for the franchise, just like it's what drew me in. You got the Austin 316, Stone Cold Said So, right?
DTA, don't trust anybody.
Yeah, all that stuff. And
Steve
like,
Weisers.
he was the guy that if he like, he was wrestling for the 90s era. Like, if he
That's tough because if we're talking about that era of the late 90s into the early 2000s,
Right.
it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, but there was also The Rock.
there was also The Rock, right?
And then also other people like Mankind and The Undertaker.
Oh yeah,
and,
don't get me wrong.
yeah.
There was a lot of great.
It was
ones
a
in there.
boom.
Yeah, you got Mankind, you got Cactus Jack. You know the same.
Dude, love if we're doing all the McFoleys.
Oh, fucking love McFoley, man. It is without doubt for me though. I'm gonna probably piss off a lot of people. For me, wrestling and then Attitude Era is synonymous with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes.
Right. So I decided to go back and start from when he first shows up. Right. Now, I did know that he wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin when he first started wrestling. I knew that was a name that he came up with later. But like, I didn't know like he was like the ringmaster.
Oh, and before that, if you go into WCW, Stunning Steve Austin.
Yeah. And I literally just watched a documentary too about Stone Cold Steve Austin not too long ago, and it was the wildest thing ever. So, Triple H and a couple other guys, they pissed off Vince McMahon. Because they did like a thing in the middle of the ring, because like there was a storyline that was going on where Triple H and these three other guys, they all hated each other.
You're talking about the curtain call.
The curtain call, yes.
Yes.
And at the end of the match,
which
though,
was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. It was Razor
yes,
Ramon
thank
and
you.
Diesel, but they're actually Scott Hall and Kevin
but like
Nash.
in real life, they were actually friends.
Yes.
So like
The
at
clique.
the end of the ring, they decided to do hand in hand and show like, hey, we're actually buddies, right? And that
break kayfabe. It breaks the rule of kayfabe, which is like, of like the fourth wall, pretty much.
yeah, right. Like it's peeling back the curtain, allowing people to see like, actually, all right, look, hey, yeah, this is all fake, right? But Vince McMahon, like, this is the time in wrestling where like, this is before intros. This is before you get the dun-dun-dun-dun. It's like they just
this is the next generation. Era.
Next generation. It's the production value is lower. They're not in like gigantic arenas.
There's also like there's a lot of cartoony things, but there's also like they're a lot smaller because before that it was the golden era, which was the big Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, And then they went to smaller wrestlers like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart.
Right.
That's where the next generation is, because they were like, well, Hulk Hogan is
Hulk
out
Hogan
the
and
door.
Ultimate Warrior's gone. You got Macho Man's gone. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's a very it's
The steroid trial really hurt that one.
It's Shonen Jump right after Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
Like, or Dragon Ball rather. It's like they're still trying to find they're trying to find what they're gonna be because they just lost like the big name that made them what it is. And so like you get like the production's lower. You don't have like not everyone has their own intro theme.
And also like it was a really down time for the WWF at the time. Very down time.
But yeah, so they did this thing where they're like, we're all friends, right? And Vince McMahon, like Stone Cold's coming in, and Vince McMahon's like, hey, you're winning. I forget what the name of the event was. Like you're winning the King of the Ring, right? You're gonna win King of the Ring this weekend. And he was just like, okay, because there was actually a fear that he was about to get kicked out because he wasn't generating any buzz.
Yeah,
and this is
because he was the ringmaster.
He was the ringmaster or the $1 Million Man. Like that was his other thing. Because
he did the $1 Million Dream, which was which was like a sleeper hold.
Yeah.
That was boring.
And so he's about to wrestle, and I forget who was it he wrestled in that match?
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Jake the Snake Roberts. Yeah. And so Jake the Snake Roberts is like, he's about to go out, right? And they're like, hey, man, Jake the Snake just cut a promo before the match, right? And he was like, well, what did he say? And he was like, oh, and like at this time he was like the big Bible guy, right?
Yeah, because he was getting sober for the 17th time.
Right, yeah. So he did this whole thing about like, all this stuff, right? Like about how God was going to preordain him to win and everything like that. But like, that's not true. The script was written for Stone Cold to win. Yeah. And so Stone Cold wins the match, which interestingly enough, he wrestled earlier that day, busted his lip, had to go to the hospital, get 13 stitches in his lip. They came back, and then he had to wrestle. So that match was like really quick.
It was also Jake the Snake Roberts, and he was not in a good wrestling state. No, he was not. He was very still in his demons.
So you have Stone Cold. He wins the match. He goes up to the throne. They have a thing, right? And he just starts rambling, right? And he's like, oh, you got your Psalms and you got your blah blah blah.
John 3:16.
You got your John 3:16. Well, Austin 3:16 just said, and I was like,
I just whooped your ass.
I just whooped your ass. Like that. That's it. And that was off the cuff. He literally had to go to the hospital, come back, win a wrestling match, and then cut a promo. Yeah. So you get the Austin 3:16 just whooped your ass. Boom. Like goosebumps, dynamite across the world right there. And then he hits you at the very end with the "'Cause Stone Cold Steve Austin said so," right? Yeah. And that was boom, boom, boom. You got two iconic lines right there, just off the cuff. And that is why I argue that Stone Cold is one of the best, better wrestlers that ever.
And surprisingly enough, he had a very short career in WWF. No. He just because he had neck issues and stuff. He
did have neck issues. Yeah. Who was it who broke his neck?
Owen Hart.
Right? And Owen Hart, Owen Hart just said, "I just broke your neck," right? Oh man, you had so many great moments, like in the Attitude Era alone, you had all these great moments. You had The Rock doing his concerts in the middle of the ring.
Oh, that was late Rock.
That was late Rock too.
That was past Attitude Era.
Was that getting out of the Attitude Era?
Attitude Era ends 2001.
Really?
When you can say when Vince McMahon bought WCW and ECW, that was the end of that boom of competition. But also it ends with Stone Cold Steve Austin joining Vince McMahon. So it's kind of that's the end of an era. It becomes the Ruthless Aggression era.
Oh, okay.
And that Rock was 2003 for Rock concerts. So that was Ruthless Aggression, which was the start of people like John Cena and Batista and Randy Orton. That was kind of the rise, and Brock Lesnar, the rise of them.
Yeah, it was around the time where Stone Cold stopped wrestling. Was when I finally stopped watching. When he finally gave up, I was like, I'm done. Because you had that episode. I mean, they're all episodes.
Yeah.
But you had that sequence where The Rock was in the middle of the ring and he had Willie Nelson's guitar and he had the arena shut down so Stone Cold Steve Austin couldn't get in there. And of course, now it's Stone Cold Steve Austin's
He's got a monster truck or a Zamboni or something like that.
Oh my God, man. And he would drive his truck in and all that stuff. And
the beer bath. Yeah, the beer bath with just sprayed him down with beer.
I remember the first time it always sticks out to me, man. I remember the first time I got you laughing, like dying laughing, was when I pointed out how inappropriate Stone Cold Steve Austin's beer movements look if you don't have beer cans.
Yeah.
You remember that, dude? It's like,
They're definitely going to CGI some stuff in post for that.
But it's the greatest thing, man. It's like I forget what it was doing. Like I think I was just like talking with a friend about that moment, right? And I was like, oh, duh, 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 and I went like that, and I was like,
well, that's just the motions you do all the time.
Oh yeah.
That's the mic movement.
That is
That is the mic anime convention.
Copyright pending mic movement.
Yes.
Movement. No.
What would you say is, if someone's never watched wrestling before, what would you say, in your opinion, would be a good match to watch?
A good match, like if you've never watched wrestling before, that's
and everyone in the world knows that it's predetermined.
I got it.
I don't tend to use the word fake because people actually do get hurt and that
people
stuff.
do get hurt, and I'm gonna hit you with
it's predetermined choreographed.
I'm gonna hit you with the one that I think if you've never watched wrestling that you should watch just because it's fun, like how like it just Mankind, Hell in a Cell,
Undertaker 1998,
yes.
King of the Ring 1998. Yes,
that
perfect.
I mean,
good.
I mean, Mankind was like.
This is why I don't say fake, because Mankind definitely got his teeth knocked out and
got his teeth. The scene where he gets body slammed onto the thumbtacks.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Not just that, but he gets thrown off the top of the cell like 20 feet into like a table.
Right.
Like really, like he dislocated his shoulder on that. It was rough.
Oh,
People
man.
thought he died.
And
he continued the match another 15 minutes.
He did another 15. Oh my god.
I'd say a good one is WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart, the submission match. People say it's an I Quit match. It's a submission match, technically. And Ken Shamrock,
right,
UFC fighter, also a pro wrestler, was the special main event, the special ring referee. And also Stu Hart was in the audience, and he looked ancient.
One thing I liked about the Attitude Era when it came to like wrestling matches was that you had like I just remember being that 10, 11-year-old kid watching these wrestling
flipping the middle finger,
and I just like all that stuff, like getting all into it. And I remember
action figures,
all the action figures, yeah.
Oh,
the wrestling, the N64's
the video
WrestleMania game.
The video games.
Baby.
Oh my god, the SmackDown games on PlayStation 1 and 2. Oh, so
make
good.
your own wrestler and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. I want to point out though, like this is like the era too where like they really started using like special referees or special rules in wrestling, right? So you had wrestlers like refs that were corrupt,
of course.
Know? So like you'd have like they'd go like 1, 2, and they'd hold their hand, right? And then like oh my god, you'd have like somebody who had to come in and save the wrestler and all that stuff. You would hope that someone come in or the two would be knocked out, right? They'd both be like
the ref
out,
bumps. Oh god.
And then somebody would run in and grab the guy and like drag him on top of the other guy. And you're like, no. And the ref like sees it and he's like, oh well, I guess that's a pin. And yeah, I'm like, oh my god, you like,
doesn't question.
I think
if you put that referee shirt on,
right,
your defense goes from like 10 to like 0.
Right.
Like even when a wrestler is a special guest referee, he puts the shirt on. If he gets like the wind, a gust of wind hits him, he's out cold for like 10 minutes.
Oh, he doesn't see that. He doesn't, all that stuff. Because like I feel like the Attitude Era is when that really kicked into overdrive. So you're just this 10-year-old, you're watching this wrestling match, right? And like it doesn't matter, like, literally, because it happened to everybody. Everyone got this corrupt referee treatment at some point.
Vince McMahon was a menace.
Vince McMahon was a fucking menace.
And then you get some weird stuff like when I like because I grew up, my parents took me to I was put in Catholic school because they wanted me to have good grades and stuff like that. I didn't have good grades, but anyway.
You were talking about wrestling. That's obvious.
So I saw the Undertaker, who was like the Lord of Darkness, and he put like people on like they call it the Undertaker symbol, but it was definitely a crucifix.
Right.
They didn't want to say crucifixion because of they'll piss everyone off. But I was like, ooh, what's that? And that was the downturn for me as a good boy.
I wanted to point out the Royal Rumble match with Vince McMahon, where he immediately goes under the bottom
99.
rope. Yeah, 90, and he runs away.
Yes.
Right? And then he comes back at the end because because the match resumes, right?
And they beat up Stone Cold.
Yeah,
because he was 1 and 2. They were 1 and 2 in the Royal Rumble.
and you're just sitting there like, oh yeah, well Stone Cold's gonna win, right? And then you remember that Vince McMahon like is still in the match. He wasn't thrown over the top of the ring, and he just comes back in and steals the win.
Yeah,
and you're just like, what? You're just
and
like,
they're supposed to, in the winner of the Royal Rumble gets is a number one contender for the WrestleMania main event,
right?
Which he loses at Saint Valentine's Day Massacre.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, that's when I got into wrestling. Was like 99, early 99. So
yeah.
Royal Rumble was like my first wrestling pay per view I watched live.
I just remember being like, just again, you're that 11-year-old, that 9-year-old, and you're just seeing this stuff happen, and you're like, you're hooked, right? Like there are like, you don't understand, like it's like the idea that it's fake and all that stuff.
I think it's more good for kids than like a kid getting into like the UFC or something like that, because there's a pageantry. There's if you like comic books or like anime, you do a lot of anime here, and like a lot of comic books. Wrestling is like a live action comic book. So you have superheroes, you have villains, you have anti-heroes.
It is the combination of like the Marvel universe and a soap opera together.
Yes,
it's literally, if you take the Marvel universe, smashed it with the soap opera, that's wrestling.
Yeah. Days of Our Lives and Thor together.
Yeah.
So it does not age very well.
No, it does not age
today's
well.
eyes.
The Attitude Era does not age well at all.
I mean, we haven't even talked about Choppy PP.
Oh my god!
When there was the Dabbit? What was his name? Dabbit? The guy who got his dick cut off.
I don't remember.
Babbitt? Something like that. But Val Venus was a porn star wrestler, and he's also very terrible now. Don't look at Val. He's a piece of shit. But there was a scene. There was people called a Japanese group called Kai and Tai, and they take a samurai sword and they supposedly cut off Val Venus's Johnson.
Right.
They and of course they do it in very, very stereotypical like accent.
Oh yeah,
it's known as Choppy PP.
The very thick like racist.
But there is a wrestler that he still wrestles in Japan mostly. His name is Dick Togo.
Dick Togo.
So if you say it wrong, it's Dick to go. But he would come out with like Megadeth shirts. He was pretty cool. He didn't last long because WWF, if you were like not like American, they didn't care about you.
Yeah, it was definitely in that era where like, I mean, like you go back an era during the Next Generation era, or the era before that with Macho Man Randy Savage.
Golden era, yeah.
So when you had like an Iron Sheik and all those
Sheiky baby, R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. Like it's things like that like, you know, like it just goes to show that like WWE.
Another E, yeah. Because they lost to the World Wildlife Foundation.
World Wildlife Foundation.
They got beat by a panda.
Which, like, I think that was it. I think that was, like, the moment. Because I didn't like the idea of, like, calling it the WWE.
That's weird.
Right? So I just was like, you know what? I'm done. Right? Like,
and then their tagline was, "Get the F out."
Get the F out, yeah. I think that was, like, around, like, the time where I was like, all right, I'm done with wrestling.
2002, I think.
2002.
Yeah.
I think that's around the time when Stone Cold retired.
Well, he quit. He was like, I'm quitting. I'm not going to like lose to Brock Lesnar on like a random ass Monday.
Right, yeah.
But he did come back for like a match with The Rock at WrestleMania, and then he
did.
Well, no, he actually came back for that WrestleMania he watched.
Oh my God, dude.
Which was like last year, I think.
It was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last year. I swear, man. Like Stone Cold, he triggers my child boy brain, right? We were you still watch wrestling.
Yes. I watch a lot of wrestling.
And yeah, you watch like a lot.
Right now is the perfect time to get into wrestling because all the companies around the world have like streaming or YouTube or whatever. You can watch whatever you want, any genre. If you want death matches of people hitting each other with freaking light tubes and bleeding everywhere into glass, it's there. If you want Japanese wrestling, I'm wearing a Japanese wrestler shirt where like they just beat the crap out of each other.
Oh yeah.
You can watch that. They're not exact. There's Kaiju Big Battle. I don't think they still do stuff, but it's basically like wrestling, but everyone's dressed like a giant monster.
That sounds amazing. How come you've never told me about this?
Oh, you didn't know about Kaiju Big Battle? Yeah, there's they dress like that.
I am watching this.
Oh, I don't know if they still run shows, but like it's definitely
that's amazing.
Oh yeah, and then Chikara has they're gone because they got the people who ran it got canceled, I believe. But like there was like the colony, and there was fire ant, it was green ant, it was soldier ant. They're all just like luchadors dressed like ants. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that sounds amazing.
I think soldier ant or fire ant are now the wrestler Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy
On All Elite Wrestling.
Dude, that is. But yeah, I went to your house. I just moved back to Maryland.
Yeah.
And you were like, we're doing a WrestleMania thing at my place, and I was like,
And like Josie, who's been on the show.
yeah, Josie was
and
there,
all them, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sure, right. I've been to a couple of the events before, right? And usually
It's mostly us talking.
It's usually us talking. We spend most of the time making I spend most of the time making fun of wrestling because I don't care for it anymore. And like you guys chiming in, just all us being stupid, but then you get hit with the iconic that I was like, and I swear to God, dude, like everyone was like talking about it afterwards because they were just like, oh my God, dude, Mike, like it was like
you exploded. You were like the glass shattered at the arena, right. And also in your brain.
Yeah, like my brain just regressed all the way back to being an 11-year-old kid again, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? And I'm just sitting there like I'm hooked. I'm watching this wrestling match like again like an 11-year-old, thinking everything is real again and all this stuff is actually happening.
And that's the beauty of wrestling is if you watch it in the 80s, if you hear that dan, 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 you hear the Real American Hulk Hogan theme. I know like Hulk Hogan is fuck Hulk Hogan, but but if you look in the wrestling terms, like people that grew up in the 80s are like, they hear that, they lose their mind. We hear Stone Cold's music, we lose our mind. Right. And people that are younger than us, they hear John Cena's music.
Oh yeah, I cannot roll my R's, so I can't do that that intro. But yeah.
But like you hear John Cena's music, that people explode. And back when I was a teenager, I hated John Cena because he's not my nostalgia. It's like it's like anime. It's like any kind of fandom, Star Wars, 100%. Where it's not mine. But people have to understand, like for Star Wars, like the prequel trilogy is not for the people from the 70s. It's for those kids. Right. Same with the sequel trilogy. I didn't love the sequel trilogy. I don't hate it as much as other people do. But those people that are kids watching that's their first Star Wars.
When I was a kid, because when the prequels came out, I was still like 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
I loved that scene where Count Dooku fights Yoda at the end of Attack of the Clones.
It's so schlock.
I love that. Like, I walked out of the theaters like thinking that was the great. But yeah, that's
and also
100% true.
It also created one of the best Star Wars games of all time, Pod Racer.
Yeah. And like it's 100% true. There's probably when Stone Cold and the Attitude Era like started, and it was no longer Macho Man Randy Savage. And
I'm sure people like this guy doesn't know how to work.
These guys don't know how to blah 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 blah, and then because I think my dad was even like big into like wrestling when he was like younger.
Like now, like as an adult, like I'm looking at like John Cena. I'm like, John Cena had a really good career. Like he's actually one of the greatest of all time. And back then, I didn't see it that way because I had those nostalgia glasses
on, man. You're just like, no, man, it's not the same.
It's not my wrestling.
It's not my wrestling.
But now it's like wrestling is for everyone. It's like
is.
Like music. It's for everyone. You can listen to any kind of genre you want.
There's like I mean, we could literally.
We're just talking about the attitude.
We're just talking about attitude.
I could go into like how like stuff like CM Punk and like Ring of Honor and like all kinds of crazy stuff.
We
even talk about WCW with the NWO.
Oh yeah,
and Goldberg and stuff
man.
like that.
Oh man,
and then they did the Wolfpack, and it's just like, what are we doing here? But I love the Wolfpack. The Wolfpack theme is amazing.
Goldberg, I remember Goldberg was like the only reason why I cared about the WCW.
Oh, and then we have to talk about, because I see in the source material here that Hulk Hogan's holding a fake Hulk Hogan head.
Oh yeah,
that's when the Ultimate Warrior came back as Warrior, and it was awful.
It was awful.
He came out and he like, instead of delivering like a 2-minute promo, he goes on for like 20 minutes, and everyone's just like, "What the fuck is he doing?" Right.
But to be fair though, if we're saying the word promo, we got to talk very quickly about the greatest promo that was ever cut. Ever.
Are we talking about Steiner Math?
We were talking about Steiner Math, baby.
Because you have a third chance of beating me at sacrifice.
And I got a third and a half chance, which equals to be 70. Oh my God, dude. What is it? Yeah. but then you take my 75 chance of winning and add it to the 66 2/3%. It goes out to 141 2/3% chance of me winning.
I'm just going to read it right now. We have enough time.
Read it. We got it.
You know, they say all men are equal or created equal, but you look at me and you look at Samoa Joe, Smojo, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning, but I'm a genetic freak and I'm not normal, so you got a 25% at best at beat me. Then you add Kurt Angle to the mix, your chances of winning go drastically down. See, a three-way sacrifice, you got a 33 1/3 chance of winning. But I got 66 2/3 chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me and he's not even going to try. Samoa Joe, you take your 33 1/3 chance minus my 25% chance and you got an 8 1/3 chance of winning at sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance of winning if we go one-on-one, and then add the 66 2/3% chance, I got 141 2/3 chance of winning a sacrifice. See, Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at sacrifice.
It's so great, dude. It is the greatest promo of all time. I am sorry.
And everyone in the background is just like, what is going on?
Everyone, like the woman who's doing who's interviewing him, all of his buddies that's there doing it, they're just like, what the fuck is going on right now? It is, I'm telling you right now, you need to, if you're listening to me right now, go on YouTube and watch the Steiner Math promo cut. It's the greatest promo of all time.
Also, if you like funny stuff, watch Botchamania on YouTube. It's all mess ups and bloopers, and it's hilarious.
Oh, man.
And a lot of anime and video game music.
Hell yeah. But anyways, I feel like we're going to have to cut it there just because, like, it's again, it's too much. It's too much. So, real quickly, Wade, where can we also see you?
You can see me here.
I mean, I can see you right now.
You see me right now. But what if you're blind?
Well, then where can they hear you then?
Okay, you can hear me. What was their deaf? No, you can hear me.
Get out of here and cut your promo already.
Tales from the Podcrypt. We talk about the Crypt Keeper and his Tales from the Crypt. You can also find us on Mikadish Productions. That is youtube.com/Mikadish Productions and all that stuff. That's all we do. And also Meteor King.
If you like horror punk,
on Spotify,
check out his band, or
Bandcamp, buy stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like, there's even I was on the Minkadish as well a couple times. So yes. I don't know if I'm still on there, but I was there a couple times.
Well, you'll be back on one day.
Yeah, one day. So that's going to be everything here, and don't forget, everybody, that the cream, it rises to the top. Oh, brother. And with
two different wrestlers.
Was that?
Two different wrestlers. Hulk Hogan
his brother,
does brother.
Hulk Hogan does brother.
Jeez, Mike.
I'm sorry. I
you
just like saying
devalued
brother.
all of your
I like saying
goodwill.
brother. I just like saying
brother.
So yeah, I mean, thank you everybody for joining in, and thanks for sticking around and getting comfy with us.